by.
What is up, YouTube? This is Nanashi with a brand new deck profile video. This time I'll be showing you the changes and updates to my good old-fashioned Penguin deck. If any of you have seen my previous videos, you'll know that I was concerned about whether or not this deck was going to do well when Link Era actually became a thing. And unfortunately my fears were completely founded and right on the point. This deck has seen a bit of a hit to its performance in general. It's not like the deck's bad or anything. In fact, many of its mechanics are still exactly the same, but because I have to allocate resources in a different way to accommodate different strategies than I'm used to, I will have to say that the deck has slowed a bit. However, I think I found a couple of interesting tech cards that'll help keep this deck going for a little bit longer. So let's see where this goes. Starting off with the monster lineup, we have a playset of Penguin Soldier. When this monster is flipped face up, you can target up to 2 monsters on the field and return them to the hand. A pair of No Penguin. If a Penguin monster's effect is activated while this monster's in the graveyard, you can special summon it from the graveyard, and while it's face up on the field, any card that is returned to the hand by a Penguin monster effect is instead banished. Triple Aqua Spirit. You cannot normal summon or set this monster. You have to special summon it from your hand by banishing a water monster out of your graveyard. And during your opponent's standby phase, you have the ability to change an opponent's monster's battle position, and it remains locked in that battle position for the duration of the turn. Triple Asher the Frost Vassal. If your opponent has 2 or more spell traps in their spell trap zones, you can special summon this monster from your hand. And given the changes to how pendulums operate, now that their spells are put back into the actual spell trap zones, this does finally trigger off of them. A pair of Flying Penguin. Not really much to say, it's mainly just in here to be combo pieces, much like Aqua Spirit and Escher the Frost Vassal for certain spell effects. Triple Nightmare Penguin. While this monster's face up on the field, all your water monsters gain 200 attack points. And when it's flipped face up, you can return a card on your opponent's side of the field to the hand. And finally, the Great Emperor Penguin, the boss monster of the main deck. You can tribute it while it's face up on the field to special summon any 2 penguin monsters from your deck, except copies of itself. Next up, we have the spell cards. First off is one of the tech cards that I've been trying out to actually surprisingly good success, Aquarium Stage. Water monsters on the field cannot be destroyed by battle with anything other than a water monster. There's also an effect that involves Aqua Actress monsters, but since I don't run any, it's not really worth mentioning. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Aqua monster from your graveyard. But during the turn this effect is used, you can only summon Aqua monsters. 1 Dark Hole, staple card. Triple Instant Fusion. Paying 1,000 points to special summon a fusion monster from your extra deck, treating it as a fusion, and then it self-destructs at the end of the turn. 1 Rank Up Magic 7th one. Yes, I am still using this card, and yes, it is still helping this deck along. It's allowing me to pick out a specific monster that has helped me completely derail some of my opponent's best moves. Triple Salvage, allowing you to add 2 water monsters from your graveyard to your hand who have 1,500 or less attack. Triple Transmodify. You take 1 monster you control, send it to the graveyard, and special summon a monster from your deck who has the same type and attribute, but 1 level higher than the one you sent to the graveyard. Obviously, this is the reason why all the monsters in the main deck need to be Aqua type, because all the 4 stars can access Great Emperor Penguin. 2 Twin Twisters, mainly just to get rid of the No Penguin from my hand so I can utilize it better, but it blows up spell traps, and that's not really something the Penguin archetype is known to do. And Triple Unexpected Die, exclusively used to summon the Flying Penguin normal monster. Flipping through the trap cards real quickly, I'm sticking to the Bottomless Trap Hole, Solemn Warning, and Torrential Tribute for the moment, until I can find other trap cards that I feel can help this deck along. Next we move into the side deck. We have 1 extra copy of No Penguin, an extra copy of Flying Penguin, Triple Guard Penguin, a card I wanted to run in the main, but unfortunately because it was a wing beast, it ended up interfering with the strategies more than I liked it to. When you take effect damage, you can special summon this from your hand and then reverse that effect damage. Ice Beast Zero Find is in here as well, a component card that is exclusively used in tandem with the guard penguins. Once per turn, you can detach a material from it, negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent currently controls until your next standby phase. And if you do this, she gains 300 attack for each face-up card on the field except this card until your next standby phase. We also have a copy of Frozen Lady Justice. You can Xyz summon it by detaching a material from a rank 5 and stacking it on top of it, or you can use 2 level 6 monsters, but I don't have any. It gains 1,000 attack points for each Xyz material attached to it, and once per turn, you can detach a material to destroy all defense position monsters. We also have a third copy of Aquarium Stage. Foolish Burial, pretty much exclusively used to drop the No Penguin, but since I have the ability to summon it from my deck or discard it from my hand in certain situations, I didn't really feel like I needed this in the main at the moment. 2 MSTs, 1 Compulsory, 2 Fiendish Chain, and a Mirror Force. And now we finish up with the fairly diverse extra deck. First off is a pair of Rare Fish. The only real reason it's in here is because it's a level 4 water monster that I can use for certain Xyz moves and certain link materials. Also as a tribute fodder, but it itself isn't really essential. It's purely because of its level and its attribute that it's here. 1 Totally Awesome. It can summon frogs from my deck, which I don't run any, and during either player's turn, I can negate the activation of a spell card, trap card, or monster effect by sending an Aqua monster in my hand or on my field to the graveyard, and then I can take that opponent's card that I just negated and set it to my side of the field. In addition, if this monster goes to the graveyard, you can target a water monster in your grave and put it right back in your hand. 1 Number 71 Rebarian Shark. Once per turn, if this card has Xyz materials, you can special summon a number Xyz monster, except the copy of itself, from your graveyard, and attach an Xyz material on this monster to the monster you just summoned. In addition, if this monster goes to the graveyard, then you have the ability to stack a copy of a rank up magic spell in your deck on top of your deck. And in my case, of course, that would be the 7th one. 1 Super Quantal Mech Beast Grampulse. It can only attack if it has Xyz materials, but I don't attack with it very often. What I do use it for is the ability to detach a material and pop a spell trap. 1 copy of Bahamut Shark. Once per turn, I can detach an Xyz material and special summon a rank 3 Xyz monster from my extra deck, but this monster cannot attack during the turn this effect is used. Also 1 Full Armored Black Ray Lancer. You can summon it by using 3 level 4 waters, or you can just do the smart thing and stack it on top of a rank 3 water Xyz that just happens to not have any Xyz materials. It gains 200 attack for every Xyz material on it, and if this monster would be destroyed, you can detach all the materials on it instead. And if this monster happens to destroy a monster in battle, you can pop a spell trap as well. 1 Hope Woven Dragon Spider Shark. When any player's monster declares an attack, I can detach a material from this to reduce all my opponent's monster's attack points by 1,000 each. In addition, if this card itself is destroyed, then I can special summon any other monster from my graveyard to the field, but I can only use this effect once per turn. Also, 101 Silent Honor Arc. You can double detach from it to target an opponent's attack position special summon monster and attach it to this card as Xyz material. And if this monster would be destroyed, you can detach a material from it instead. 1 copy of 103 Ragna Zero. Once per turn during either turn, you can detach a material from it and target a face-up attack position monster your opponent controls, whose current attack is different than its original attack. You can destroy it and then draw a card. This monster's seen a bit more play, and I think I might actually bump it up to 2, because now that the attribute-specific Link monsters exist, it makes their entire board vulnerable to this monster's effect. Although I am still running 1 copy of Snowdust Giant in the event that I can get its combo off with Ragna Zero later in the game. Once per turn, I can detach a material from it and reveal any number of water monsters from my hand, placing an ice counter on face-up monsters on the field for each water monster I revealed. And as long as he's on the field, non-water monsters on the field lose 200 attack for each ice counter on the field. Then we have C103 Ragnafinity. the rank up target using 7th one on top of the Ragna 0. During either player's turn, you can detach a material and target a monster your opponent controls whose attack points are different than its original attack. You inflict damage to your opponent equal to the difference, and then banish that target. And if this card's destroyed and sent to the graveyard while it has any Xyz material, you can special summon it back. But number 103, Ragna 0, has to be in the graveyard to activate and resolve this effect. And one full armor Crystal Zero Lancer. You can stack it on top of a rank 5 Xyz monster you already control, or you can summon it with 3 level 6 water monsters, which obviously I don't have. It gains 500 attack for each Xyz material. If it would be destroyed, you can detach a material from it instead, and once per turn you can detach a material from it. All face-up monsters your opponent controls have their effects negated until the end of the turn. And finally, a pair of Misc Starboy. Not only is it an Aqua monster, which fits into the dynamic of the Aqua deck in the first place, but it boosts water monsters by 500, reduces fire monsters by 400, and if it is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target a water monster in your grave and put it right back in your hand. And that's the deck. As I'm sure many of you have already guessed, this deck is still fairly slow and a bit on the weak side compared to some of the other decks that I own, and that's mainly because Penguin as an archetype is not only under-supported as a whole, but it's disjointed because of its other monsters being scattered types. Winged Beast, Thunder, Fairy. It just doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense about the way that they supported the deck. However, given the fact that we've just received confirmation on some new cards from the white archetype that would actually work in this deck, I'm really interested in keeping this deck alive a little bit longer to see how well that would work with this deck. I thank you guys for watching the deck profile, and if you can think of any way that I can improve on this Penguin-based Aqua deck, feel free to let me know. But in the meantime, this has been Nanashi, signing out.
What's the next stage? What's the next stage?